different countries, different continents. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope and we pray to Almighty that you all are taking care of your health, your wellness, and things are now improving and getting better in your zones at your places. We extend you a very warm welcome for yet another very powerful evening. As far as India is concerned, it's 3 p.m. Local time in Indian Standard Time. And it's a proud privilege to share with all of you that we have completed this morning 200 webinars, and this is 201, 201. And our journey, which is moving in the direction by 31st of December, we wish to touch 500 webinars with the various corporate houses, experts, dignitaries, distinguished guests from the world over. Last evening, we had people from United States, people from Europe, and there was the first international webinar on the global education empowerment with a focus on higher education last night, which started at 9:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time and went on till 12:30. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we extend you yet another very powerful webinar, which is India-ASEAN Joint Series Relationship, our journey together, which is for education, for tourism, for business, for trade, for hospitality, and whatever we can do together, all of us. And of course, with that, you have got today, we have got very distinguished guests who would be sharing with us a lot onto technology, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, blockchain, and a couple of other things when we talk about. And at the same time, we would also be talking about financial sector, the pricing structures, and a couple of other things. So we extend a very warm welcome to our brothers, sisters, everybody from ASEAN as well as India and from rest of the world, wherever you are. On behalf of International Chamber for Service Industry, ICSI, which is in the service since 1994, and approximately 30 million non-resident Indians at present world over in different countries. So it's a journey, it's a confluence, and it's a get together, all of us, what can we do together? Our chamber during this pandemic, from morning 9 a.m. till evening 9, that is 12 hours a day, Monday to Sunday, we are trying to reach out the education fraternity ecosystem, whether it's schools or colleges or universities or skill centers, competencies, whatever is happening, we are trying to help out universally in different countries world over. And if I share with all of you, we are having lots of program in Latin America, in Central Asia, in Middle East, and of course, we are going across all the way to Mongolia because we have got everyday educators program in Mongolia as well. This is the complete program of the entire week, the canvas, which I wish to share with all of you. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days. We have got youth empowerment strategies where entire thing is dedicated to youth. Who are the youth? Who are the millennials? What does today's youth want? What is the purpose of education? Why to take a particular subject? What is the relevance of education in our ecosystem today? And whether we should study for employment or for entrepreneurship or for startup or finding your passion and your passion becoming your profession, whatever you wish to do, that is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days we have got this journey. Friday evening, we have got 500 million plus people world over. Those are following Buddhism. So with Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji, we come on to the entire Buddhist fraternity and ecosystem world over in different countries. And then comes Saturday evening with Sudip Majumdarji, the advisor to our chamber, who brings in a wonderful, I would say, it's a soothing, it's a treat to soul, to spirit, to cerebrum, to body, and everything. What did Swami Vivekananda ji convey basically, and what is the relevance of his teachings in today's education system and to our youth? And thereafter, ladies and gentlemen, after Vivekananda ji's program, we take you for the global wellness, where we talk about yoga, meditation, naturopathy, nutrition, organic, whatever could be done. And nowadays, a lot is being discussed on the startup related to organic farming, agriculture, animal husbandry, and couple of other projects. क्योंकि basic भोजन तो सबको चाहिए. And then comes Sunday morning, we take you to California, Woodbury University, where from Professor Satyendra Diman talks to all of us, and that is on Srimad Bhagavad Gita and 10 Principal Upanishad. What is the relevance of that? And thereafter, now, 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time, right? Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Brunei, Vietnam, all the 10 countries, wonderful journey, India, ASEAN, what together we can do. And of course, we give a special focus to Northeast part of India. And after this program, immediately this gets over, we get to the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises and what is to be done in MSME sector globally and Asian region and of course within India as well. So this is the complete canvas. This is the program after this at 5 p.m. today, Indian Standard Time. Tomorrow is a very important day. Tomorrow, 4,000 educators from world over are joining us. Tomorrow is a World Teachers' Day celebration, ladies and gentlemen. So morning 9:30 till 4:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Tomorrow, we will be having 4,000 educators and principals and directors and vice chancellors with the UNESCO and the United Nations, where we have got a great program coming up tomorrow on the World Teachers' Day. Our chamber deeply feels whatsoever human mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Let's come together. Let's make education relevant. It's a global confluence and all of us are together. What is finally this particular series during pandemic, what we all are organizing, 1.86 billion children. At present, they are away from world over. That means from schools, colleges, universities, and institutions. What is the purpose of education? How to make education relevant? The ideal education is to remove ignorance and to provide the desired knowledge and competencies to every educator and youth for global peace. Ladies and gentlemen, under the dynamic and dedicated leadership of Professor Pornthep Narula, President of the International Chamber for Service Industry, he is also from ASEAN, Thailand. Before him, our president was from United States, and before that, we had the president from Singapore, and before that, we had from Canada. So like that, it is a series which is going on. Mr. Pornthep Narula ji, he is into the hospitality entrepreneurship venture in Bangkok under his dynamic leadership. Along with him, we have got Dato Ramesh Kodammal ji, who is the chairman of the ASEAN-India Business Council from Malaysia. He is the co-chairman of the ASEAN-India Business Council. He is currently a council member for the Malaysian Associated Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry since 2013. He is also the member of the Malaysian National Committee for Pacific Economic Cooperation. Nowadays, a lot of articles are coming, a lot of things are coming. We all are reading Indo-Pacific region and geopolitical scenarios, couple of things when we talk into consideration. Now, Dato Ramesh, he is also the chairman of the Goltex group of companies founded in 1973, specializing in import-export of the garments and textile, as well as manufacturing of home furnishing. He actively promotes the interest of the business community between ASEAN and India, and he has been deeply involved with the visits of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to Malaysia as a part of this initiative. He participates in various international forums and seminars, representing and has been dynamically involved with various chambers of commerce, industries, and NGOs. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening we have been joined by Mr. Charles Cheong. He's the CEO and he is joining us all the way from Singapore. Now, Mr. Charles is an accomplished professional in procurement services, aviation, financial services, blockchain, banking operation and technology and asset management industry with 30 years of experience in Asia Pacific, out of which 7 years are in commercial business aviation. Mr. Charles has multidisciplinary working experience in sales, technology, procurement, business, corporate advisory, private equity, aircraft leasing, charters, portfolio product development for both non-Sharia and Sharia compliant investment grade product for institutional clients across the Asia Pacific market. When I read this particular paragraph in his CV, what comes to my mind that everybody in lifetime once always feels like going to the place, to the religion or the faith or whatsoever we follow on this planet. Japanese, they always feel like going to Bodh Gaya once in lifetime, to Sarnath, to Kushinagar and couple of other places. So when we are talking about chartered flights, they just came to my mind that a lot of Japanese are now interested to have a chartered flights, and particularly in ASEAN countries, and of course going to South Korea, Taiwan, Japan. A lot of people are there. Those are interested to have a chartered flights to come to the Buddhist pilgrimage. Mr. Charles has an extensive sourcing, procurement, and transactional experience in structuring deals and closed more than 300 deals to date when he was the procurement lead in Regional Procurement Office, Citibank Asia Pacific Singapore headquarters. He is fluent in English, Cantonese, Mandarin, Bahasa Malaysia, and Bahasa Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, we extend a very hearty welcome. It's a pleasure to have him. With him, we have got Mr. Vishwasharan. He's the Director, Transfer Pricing Services, located out of Hanoi, that is a northern part of Vietnam. Mr. Vishwa has around 15 years of work experience, and prior to joining Grand Thon Ton, Vietnam, he worked at Grand Thon Ton, India practice, and has also worked with big fours like Deloitte India and KPMG. Before this, he also worked with the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Now, I think it's very important to listen to you, because when we talk about Indian economy today, my heart bleeds because it's getting into minus 27 somewhere and all that. You can throw more light on that, but don't throw too much light also, because we go further down. Mr. Vishwa has vast experience in transfer pricing planning, value chain analysis, designing compensation model for varied industries. Mr. Vishwa has contributed several articles on transfer pricing issues for leading nationals, international publications like the Hindu Business Line, Bloomberg. He has been frequent speaker on various forums. We extend him a very hearty welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman doesn't need actually in any introduction, because by this time you know him more than me, because he is the Karta Dharta, and he is the Samay, and he is the force, and he is the vision, and he is the power behind India ASEAN series. Whatever energy, synergy, confluence, podlocking, whatever is coming in this program, it's Mr. Sandeep Majumdar, the president of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Cambodia. And it's always a treat to listen to him, always smiling. And he's chairman and managing director of Purewell International Company Limited. He's polite and sophisticated. Mr. Sandeep Majumdar has an unmatched business sense with strong conviction in ethics and relationship. Business expansion has a meaning for him only if it is accompanied with the value and betterment for his people. Ladies and gentlemen, he's an authority and he's a moving encyclopedia as far as pharma industry, wellness industry, and whenever you want your fitness, I think he's the person we got to be taking care of. And ladies and gentlemen, thereafter, I am there, the blank slide, the blank always. And with these words, I extend a very hearty welcome to Mr. Sandeep Majumdarji to take on the floor and to take on the vision and to share today's thought process. And in Kurta, particularly from Nompe, you're looking very smart. So let's go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Gulshan Sharma. My heartiest congratulations to Dr. Gulshan Sharma and ICSI for completing their second century. 200 webinars, that's I think faster than Tendulkar, I guess. So, so congratulations to your entire team.
It's your efforts. It's your efforts.
Oh, no match, no match. I was actually no buttering, but yesterday I was speaking to one of your other advisor, who is doing the Swami Vivekananda series. So we were just saying that to arrange one set of series itself takes so much of time and energy, and this gentleman is doing one after the other, 3, 4, 5 till 9:30. The last one yesterday, I think, was at 9:30, 10 o'clock India time. So that is hats off to you. I'm not, sorry.
9:30 it started. It finished at 12:30 night time.
Right, exactly. 9:30 it started, yes. So hats off to you, hats off to you. I welcome all the viewers around the globe, and I welcome our very dear Shri Dato Ramesh Kodammal ji. So nice to have you back. And our today's speaker, Mr. Vishwasharan from Vietnam. I will talk more about it as we go. And our ever smiling Mr. Charles Cheung from Singapore. I'll start with you, Dato Ramesh Kodammal ji. Always so nice to hear from you. You come so well prepared, and the points that you share with us is always a thought for us and me and Dr. Gulshan Sharma, and rightfully so. When you give us these points, those are very practical points which you tell us, and me and Dr. Gulshan will always talk after that also how to take this forward. So I hand it over to you, Dr. Ramesh Kodammal ji, Dato Ramesh Kodammal ji from Malaysia.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. I think we have been meeting for the past few weeks, and every week as we move on, we feel that the energy is increasing to see what we can do. And especially Gulshan ji, as you said, he has reached his 200 mark. Actually, what I was just thinking about was, I think Gulshan ji should create a television channel where he can have a 12-hour program for everyone around the world or throughout India to just click in and see what's happening. Because whatever valuable information which we have taken during the last 200 webinar events with Gulshan ji, I think everyone at every point of time has put in some thought of what he feels. And if these thoughts are translated into action, I think we would achieve something very much more. Well, having said that, 200 is a journey. Congratulations, Gulshan ji. As I've always told you, every time when I see you becoming younger than before. And that's the special secret of actually moving on daily with an event. And please don't give it up, because I feel that you inspire a lot of people. I think this is also a way of telling that, don't worry, if I can do it, you all can do it. So again, congratulations, and let's move on to today's topic on ASEAN. ASEAN, as you know, that we have always been talking on the education part of it, on the business part of it, on the linkages with it, on the Northeast. So ultimately, looking at the pandemic today, how are actually we are going to move forward to see that something can be done. And I personally feel that now that since we have already taken so much of effort, we must focus again back to the Northeast, because the Northeast is a big game play with ASEAN on the borders. And the borders of ASEAN are always there working with Northeast. Now, we have heard so many things within the last month or so regarding the trade relationship of India with China. So we also know that ASEAN is a major player. Today, ASEAN is having its own teething problems for exports from ASEAN to India. The reason being that many feel in India that most of the components of manufacturing which ASEAN has comes from China. And so there's a lot of talk been going on that certain products from ASEAN, duties would be increased, a lot of scrutinizing will be taking place with the customs. And I think this is actually going to create a real backlog for businesses who are working within ASEAN and India. So I think we must start voicing this out. to the authorities that we in ASEAN will only work to send to India goods which are manufactured in ASEAN. It's not necessary that we have to get goods from China to send it to India from ASEAN, because ASEAN has got a very good manufacturing platform. I think that thought first we must take it out from the authorities. Whenever we speak, we'll speak of ASEAN, ASEAN moving forward, ASEAN moving with its commodities, ASEAN moving with its manufacturing side, ASEAN moving with the electronic business, which is a fantastic thing. Because in ASEAN countries like Vietnam, countries like Malaysia, we are the sole suppliers of sole chips, even to companies in America. So what is there that ASEAN does not do? ASEAN does everything. But only thing is ASEAN's costing is slightly more expensive than India. So we are there doing it. So I think the Indian authorities should fully look at it, try to go into depth to see what are the real products ASEAN is doing and exempt them from duties which our ASEAN-India Free Trade Agreement which we have, so that we can actually strengthen our ties and grow further. I think these small distractions will actually prolong our growth between ASEAN and India. So at this point of time, if anyone is hearing from the government side, from the authorities, ASEAN is solely willing to work with India with their products which are manufactured, and we are also willing to import from India whatever they have for the ASEAN market. And we feel the renegotiation of the ASEAN-India Free Trade Agreement, which takes place, I think will smoothen the process. We'll have to tell to our ASEAN leaders, we'll have to tell to our Indian leaders, we want things to happen for us to work together because we are neighbors. And as neighbors, we have to hold hands and walk fast, work further, because we know that India has the numbers together with ASEAN, which I've always been telling. So this is one point which I like to stress out. And I think that we should take this very seriously and voice it out. ASEAN-India trade relationship is here to stay. We don't want any gooseberry bumps to come in between to obstruct this relationship of trade between ASEAN and India. We want to be very firm. We want to be affirmative that ASEAN will manufacture products in ASEAN, which India requires, and export it to India. In the same way, India must not doubt at any point of time that ASEAN is not doing the same. So we, as the Chambers of Commerce, various organizations within ASEAN, we will definitely look at this from our side to see that it works on the right direction for both the countries to benefit. So let's work together. And again, coming back to something on education. I personally feel that actually we are very blessed to go through this pandemic. I know many people will say that, Dato, what are you trying to say? We are all in problem. I just want to ask something. Gulshan ji understands where I'm coming from and why he must be laughing. There's something tickling him. You see, we have a lot of CEOs in the world who are earning millions of dollars today. Some are earning 100 million, some are earning 200 million, and they are fantastically earning huge amounts. But I want to ask one question here today, which I'm trying to understand, which I was going through our website and trying to understand it. How do you appoint a CEO to a company who earns so much of salary? And basically, every CEO who joins a company will have a degree, which we all know, will have a past record of improving his companies, we all know, has been a good talent, we all know. But what is it that when we call this candidate and when we interview him, what do we ask from him? What do we actually ask from him? He has got the degrees, we know. He has got experience, we know. He has got the knowledge of managing a company, we know. All this we know. But if I'm the boss of a company, what do I call and interview a CEO who I'm going to pay 100 million. There must be something. And that something is crisis management. Crisis management is the criteria of appointing a CEO to take your company forward in crisis. Because every company is doing well. They're already making billions. But I am going to choose someone who is going to look after my interests and who is going to work for me and take my company further. But I'm also going to look at it, whether he has managed any crisis. And whether if my company faces crisis, he will be able to pick it up and move forward. So my dear friends, we are going to have a number of people around the world who are going to be paid a fantastic salary because their record will prove that they have managed crisis very well. And only this pandemic period has given them this opportunity to manage crisis. And those who have managed this crisis well will definitely be moving up the ladder in the near future, and you'll hear about them. That all the young managers who are taking on have got the experience of crisis management. And the pandemic has given us an opportunity to see whether we can manage this crisis and come out of it. And if we are able to do that, my dear friends, you have got a feather in your cap. Let's not worry of the crisis. Let's worry that how we manage and come out of it. So this is my message for the young people or the others who are actually watching us today. Let's all work together, manage the crisis, come out of the crisis. Might be it'll take a little longer, but it does not matter. But when you come out of it, you will have an experience of how you manage the crisis, which will give you further growth for your own self. So this is a lesson which we are getting free education during the pandemic period. Accept it and let's move forward with it. With these few words, my dear friends, I think that every week when we speak, we try to come out with few new things, trying to emphasize certain areas where Gulshanji always says that we must talk something related to education. So I'm just bringing out this point here today. Even this pandemic is a period of education. It is not a period to be worried about. This is a period to see how you manage this crisis. If you are a company CEO, if you are a businessman, how do you manage it? And how do we move further from here? With these few words, thank you, Gulshanji. I hope we will keep on moving on and we'll come out with some brilliant ideas to help everyone along the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato Ramesh, Kodammal. As always, your points which you speak out is really thought-provoking. And coming to a few points that you just spoke, first and foremost, I think age is just a number for Dr. Gulshan Sharma, both for his age as well as for the webinars that he is conducting. So even if he reaches 500 webinars, I think it will still be just the beginning of the webinar episode. So, and Dr. Gulshan, at 70 also, you please keep on going, because we have seen world leaders around the globe, being in the position at mid-90s, early 90s. We have very senior tall leaders, even in our country, who are still active, working at 90. So you have still a long way to go. So sorry, he's laughing.
Yesterday I turned 71.
Lovely belated. Why this was not informed? I have to tell Mrs. Chitra that this was a lapse from her.
Happy birthday to you, my dear friend.
Happy birthday. Yes, let's do that on the webinar itself. Yeah. God bless you. You stay healthy, and we look forward to work with you.
Today's Chitra's birthday.
Okay. Okay. So that's a good thing to do. So we will keep this in our calendar. So from next year, I'll be the first one to wish you both.
God bless.
Okay. Now, the points that Dato Ramesh Kodammal said is something which is very close to our heart. And we as India, we are, of course, we have this focus all through that Act East policy, increasing the business between India and ASEAN. And you rightfully said so, that ASEAN 10 countries have so much to give. They are self-dependent on all the manufacturing. I keep visiting all these business seminars, which happens in Madrid, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Indonesia, in Thailand, and Vietnam for that matter. And what you said, I have witnessed this over this last 23 years, 27 years that I am in this region. I have not missed out major events. And I have personally seen that there is more or less Cambodia also. So many things we have which are exported from Cambodia. So as a team of 10 countries as ASEAN, I think we are self-sufficient to export to not only to India as well as other countries as ASEAN is doing. And ASEAN, as we know, is the third largest trading partner, and we look forward to work with ASEAN. You also have a great role to play being in Malaysia, which is one of the biggest hub for manufacturing things. Now, the other things that you told is very, very important. That is FTA between ASEAN and India. That will definitely ease the business terms for ASEAN and India. Now, I would now come over to, also I would like to say that many of the ASEAN diplomats who are based in India watch our events every Sunday, and I'm sure they would be talking between themselves when they meet in a diplomatic meet, and they're doing that anyway, day in and day out, and I'm sure they would appreciate the efforts that ICSI and all we together in our own small little way, we are trying to push ASEAN to the world and more India-ASEAN trade. With this, I would like to now call upon our very handsome, smiling Mr. Charles. It's so lovely to see his smile, Dr. Gulshan. First time when he came to Cambodia, and I had the privilege of meeting him. Of course, we were talking on different subjects then. And when I came to know, oh, I think there's an echo going on. Huh? When I came to know that he is an expert in artificial intelligence, he has shown me, sent me all the, as a speaker, what all he has done on different subjects. He specializes as artificial intelligence is a subject by itself. Like we say that there's a doctor, somebody is a doctor, it is a subject by itself. Now, doctor, somebody would be an orthopedic, somebody would be a gynecologist, third would be a orthodontal. So he has already specialized in the entire AI, and he gave me immediately. The good thing about him is the moment I approached him, I sent to him within, I think, less than 15 minutes, he sent me all that he has done as a speaker. And he told me, you choose whatever you want best for the first thing. So I will share that with you, Dr. Gulshan, so which probably in a later days, whenever it is required, we can call him again. So as has already been introduced by Dr. Gulshan, Mr. Charles Seong is the CEO of IAFA, and I invite you, Mr. Charles, to give your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep, for inviting me. Thank you, Dr. Gulshan. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everybody. For some reason, then you are not able to see my face on the screen, but you can see my face on the other device that I use. I'm actually using two devices, the phone and the computer. So you can see my screen, full screen now. And today we are talking about impact investing, which is a very hot topic that most institutional investors are talking about. And personally, I am doing this for my client association, Chang Client Foundation, for impact investing. And what does it do? Basically, it is an investment that make into companies, organizations, and funds with the intention to generate social and environmental impact alongside financial return. And that's a definition by the Global Impact Investing Network in the next slide that you see. And what are impact investment? Impact investment is basically an intentional contribution to positive and social environmental impact. As an evidence and impact data, you manage the performance, and it's all about doing good. And today, this is a very huge market. The funding that you see around the world is 1.4 trillion US dollar. And with a total of 2.5 trillion needed around the world, with contribution from the high level of individuals, the charity organizations, institutional investors, corporations, and governments. So a total of 3.9 trillion that is required. And impact investment is all,
Mr.
yes,
Charles,
yeah.
Mr. Charles, I would like to make a request. Two slides are coming together. That is your present slide and the next slide. So you got to change the mode. You got to change the mode. And we have to go on single slide. No, still two slides are coming. Still two slides are coming. Your next slide is also being shown here now. Yeah,
Okay.
I would make a humble request because then the picture would be larger.
Yeah.
Those are watching you on the YouTube on their mobile. They are not in a position to see the picture.
Okay, now I'm adjusting now.
And then take your time, nothing to worry, take your time. You got to close the left side on the top.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes, now
Okay.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. So when you talk about impact investment, we are always talking about alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, a total of 17 goals that is being seen around the world. And today, if you are aligned to United Nations SDG, your project or your social enterprise will get a lot of attention from different sectors, from different funding source. And the different types of impact investments, which can be financially motivated, it can be a socially responsible investment, which a lot of corporates are moving into, and it's intentional, and it's also the market rate investment impact, and together with social, and it's usually in the past, social impact investment is done by philanthropic grant-making organizations, and today you see more and more players are coming in from passive to intentional to evidence-based. And typically, who are the people who engage in impact investing? So you have this asset owners from individual to institution who engage asset managers to form an enterprise. And the enterprise can be a social enterprise, it can be a trust, it can be a foundation that will deploy funds to the communities that they champion for. It could be youth, it could be anything else. And usually there is an advisory involved, which is the service provider who can advise the asset managers on the operational part of the impact investment. And the players, who are the players who contribute the most? We see that the public entities, private equities are the ones who contribute a lot. But we start to see that the percentage of sectors, various sectors, getting more and more closer. So which means that we see that more and more people are seeing the importance of impact investment. And an example of asset owners and managers that you can see from seed capital to the expansion team. So various people from bank, debt, micro lending, crowdfunding, venture capital, and public debt, bonds, and there are more and more institutional investors moving towards green bonds. When you talk about green bonds, the Islamic Sharia people are always in a need for a bond that is Sharia compliant. So that is one part of the impact investment. And if you look at some statistic done by Merrill Lynch, and 6 in 10 investors are looking for impact investment. So this is to tell us that impact investment is getting more and more important. And if we are investing into a project or we are building our own project, it's always important to align ourselves that this is in line with impact investment criteria or United Nations Sustainable Development Goal that you can easily find the information and align yourself to it. And just to give you an example of some impact investment company who has gone very big, like we have one very big one in Korea, the Happiness Foundation in South Korea. And you look at the beneficiaries, it's about children, about youth, about environmental, about people in poverty, people with medical needs, and people without employment. And this is so practical and real, especially during this period of pandemic. And the financing provided by the Happiness Foundation is in the form of convertible debt and debt equity or equity. And these are very important instruments where it serves different purpose, especially the convertible debt when the project owner does not have a very strong track record but have a good story. You can convert that into equity. And same goes to this organization in China, 98 Sparks. And they are very active in many countries around Asia Pacific as well as in US and in Europe. And the focus is in agriculture, climate action, environment, water, sanitation. And these are all the basic needs that they're championing on. Again, you see that there is a reputation on the beneficiaries, the children, the youth, the environment, the people in poverty, and people with disability. And closer to our market in Singapore. In Singapore, we have this AG-Funder. They are doing very well. They are talking about agriculture, climate action, and nutrition, water, and all these are part of the United Nations SDG. And again, you see the beneficiaries are children and youth, the environment. And we have another one in China that talks about agriculture, the climate action, and so on. And typically, what does the impact investment perform financially? And from the global market survey, it shows that impact investment has 64% risk-adjusted market returns, which means that this is technically a safe investment for most organizations, and only 20% below the market returns. And there's a case study that we saw, a company that was started in 2019. They are doing an alternate protein fund, which they're selling a burger, but yet it's not a burger. It's actually made of non-meat products, soy products, or even a vegetable. And this company is funded by AG-Funder, an organization who is providing corporate advisory and corporate finance services. And they champion the 3 goals of the Sustainable Development Goal, goal number 1, 2, and 3. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. Because if you abstain from meat, it's believed that your health can be better. So these are the 3 goals that they champion. And looking at this alternative protein fund, this opportunity is almost a 3 trillion market for animal products by 2025. And AG-Funder invested in 20 startups, pre-seed and pre-IPO. And it's a small fund, but they are getting a lot of traction. They're getting a lot of institutional investors to support them. And by looking at the alternative investment, alternative protein, you look at the meat market. The meat market is like 1.2 trillion market that you can tap on. And alternative to the dairy product is 6% of the world global, which is 740. And together with egg is 184. All these are telling you that this is a good potential market. Whatever you do, if you can do something on alternative protein, on something to do with agriculture, yes, there is a good chance that you will have a good opportunity. The world is in shortage, especially in market like India. India is such a big market, and having an alternative protein could be one very powerful business opportunity that you can explore. And how big the market is, the global market of impact investing is estimated to be a $500 billion market. So with this, I will hand you back the time to the chairman and the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Very interesting. In fact, we had one of the speakers quite some time back who also spoke about artificial intelligence. And I saw your presentation while I was watching. I found although the topic was same, but your presentation was completely different to what the other presenter did about 2 months back. So very simplified version that you have said. Now I'm sure any questions if the viewers have, please feel free to give it to our moderator, Dr. Gulshan. But Mr. Charles, I was seeing while your slides were going on, you had this United Nations logo being there. So how does that correlate to what you are doing?
Okay, it's because the United Nations, they have this United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, and if we build our projects along the goal of SDG, so we always put this to remind ourselves that we are supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. So, and the UN, when we have a full project, we can even ask the United Nations for some kind of endorsement to say that, you know, our project is in line with the goal, and that's why we are allowed to use the logo.
Very nice. Okay, understand. Thank you again, Mr. Charles, and we will be in touch anyway. And thank you for accepting my invitation to be a speaker. I move on to our next speaker of this evening, Mr. Vishwasharan from Vietnam. And with him also, when I had approached him through one of our dear friends, Dr. Gulshan, you know about Mr. What do you call Mr. Rajiv Garg, who is based in Hanoi, and he was one of our speakers. So I also had interaction with Mr. Sharon, and he said that the topic that you have shown on all your webinars is quite different to what I do. So then I explained to him that we need more speakers on different topics, because everything that you do, whether it is agriculture or it is education or it is CEOs or financial institutions or anything, it gets related to education anyway, that as you rightly say, Dr. Gulshan. So that's how Mr. Sharan would be speaking on transfer pricing. And his topic of today is transfer pricing and disruption of supply chain as a result of trade war and COVID, etc. I would request all viewers to, of course, as you are a good listener, anything that you may, because I may not be able to get these speakers every now and then, any questions that you may have for them, please keep it prepared during the presentation, and we'll be happy to put it on to the speakers for their answer. Over to you, Mr. Vishwasharan.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining on this Sunday. So I will briefly discuss on disruption on existing supply chain and its impact on Vietnam, which is throwing a lot of business opportunities right now. It may become a bit technical at times, sorry for that, but I will try to simplify it. And trust me, these technical areas may be critical, but it's going to have a cascading impact on the economy and has a lot of business implications for any cross-border transactions that you're doing. So basically, we live in uncertain times, lots happening across the world, and which is going to have an impact on the macroeconomic landscape. The US tariff for COVID-19 and the other is the European-Vietnam free trade agreement that has been signed is going to disrupt the supply chain, because we are expecting a lot of relocation of supply chain based on the macro factors that is happening. So it has an impact on transfer pricing. So that's the reason the multinationals has to take care of their strategies, and they have to do a diagnostic review of the existing supply chain that they have. and how this we will discuss. So before going depth into how is the impact, I understand that a lot of non-technical people are here, so I will just try to simplify. In world, 60% of the global trade is happening between related party within the group company. So the tax authority is of the, they want to judge the pricing between the related party as if it is happening between independent parties, so that there is no manipulation of pricing. So if there is a trade between related party, there is a chances of manipulation of pricing because it's within the group. So it is judged by a benchmark which is arm's length. So in under arm's length, they try to check whether they are behaving like an independent party or not. So this is basically transfer pricing. So let us go to the COVID-19 impact, what is happening and how it impacts the transfer pricing and the inter-group dealing that we do. COVID-19 pandemic has a far-reaching impact. It was earlier based to disease, but now it has gone beyond the disease of pandemic, and it has impacted the economy. There has been lockdown. There has been, under capacity utilization is having, liquidity crunch is happening. So it has a significant impact on the existing supply chain. Having spoken to many of the client, and we feel that COVID-19 has negatively impacted in most of the client. As per Asian Development Bank, the impact of COVID-19 has been around $8.8 trillion globally. So if we look from the China's point of view, it has been is a factory to the world and has been one source manufacturing for many of the multinationals. So there is a potential risk if most of the global supply chain is based on one source manufacturing sector. So as a business continuity strategy, many multinationals are diversifying their supply chain, and which has an impact on the supply chain, the value chain of the group. So let us understand within the limited scope in this webinar, we will discuss briefly the impact on the factors. So whenever there is any supply chain, cross-border supply chain, the multinationals should take care of their pricing remuneration model, and whether it is consistent with your function, asset, risk that you have employed into the business. So whether the COVID-19 is going to have a temporary impact or the permanent impact, it depends upon when we discussed case-to-case basis. But let us understand, if it is a temporary impact, there are certain economic adjustment which needs to be carried out on the pricing. And if there is a permanent, there has a different transfer pricing impact, like business restructuring of the entire global supply chain. So many of the clients we spoke, and they felt that because of COVID-19, enterprises are losing on orders and running low on cash. So cash flow pressure is having a deep impact, and because of which many headquarter company, parent company are trying to give a financial support to the subsidiary company worldwide, not only in Vietnam but worldwide. But let us understand, there is a problem is that in Vietnam there is a rule of interest deductibility. Interest deductibility rule in Vietnam says that if a parent company is supporting their subsidiary which is cash trapped, they cannot, the interest element cannot exceed 30% of earning before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization, 30% of EBITDA. It cannot cross. If it is crossed, then it will be disallowed. So why this is important? Any subsidiary which is currently cash trapped in Vietnam, so if parent company is trying to support it, it is going to have a implication. So, well, having now discussed with many of the clients, and we feel that one of the main reason in COVID-19, one of the deep impact which is going to have is a low profitability or loss situation. So for that, the strategies could be, transfer pricing documentation that the company is trying to prepare as a defense document. The story of the entire COVID-19 and the lockdown has to be documented well in the so in transfer pricing, as we discussed, whenever there is a inter-company dealing is happening between the related party, the tax authority try to benchmark it with the industry, what the independent company is doing. So transfer pricing is basically works on the principle of comparability. So let us see from the COVID-19 point of view. suppose one of the company is dealing into fashion retailing, its pricing cannot be compared with a FMCG retailing. So let us understand, fashion retailing was deeply impacted because of COVID-19, but FMCG, many of the company were positively impacted by COVID-19, positively impacted in terms of that they started manufacturing sanitizers, soaps, masks, PPEs. So both profitability are not compared. So if there is a, pricing has been impacted, the profit has been impacted for a company, the company should carry out economic adjustment of depending upon the facts of the case. It can be market risk adjustment, it can be working capital adjustment, or capacity adjustment has to be carried out. And so that the margin can be compared. Another problem with the companies is that the margin of the company is compared with the industry margin, and the industry margin is never available in the market. It comes with a lag of 6 months or a year. So if comparison is being done, so the companies need to discuss with their consultant on the transfer pricing aspect, because this is one of the most debated issue right now in the international trade. Another thing is that in Vietnam, we have observed that many multinationals are limited risk entities. So limited risk entities are entity which get a guaranteed return on cost. Now the question is, a cost plus entity with no business and it was closed during lockdown, how it is, how it should be compensated, whether it should be compensated on cost to cost reimbursement basis, whether the markup has to be reduced. So we are waiting for, more clarity from the tax authority, OECD also, which is an organization, but we do not have. But as of now, we feel that cost to cost reimbursement or reduced markup for the entity has to be understood. Another impact apart from COVID-19 which has disrupted the supply chain is the US-China tariff war. So China entered WTO around 2001. It became the manufacturing hub. Things were going well, but when Donald Trump became the president, he was pretty, upset with the trade imbalances, and he came with the policy of America first, and which basically started the trade war. And trade war will basically depend upon who has better bargaining power. And but as of now, it has led to relocation of several supply chain. But multinationals feel that this trade war is going to be a permanent basis, so they have started relocating their supply chain, and many of the investment has started coming to Vietnam. As in India, we had economic liberalization in 1991. In Vietnam, kick started its liberalization somewhere around 86, called as Doi Moi, which is basically renovation. So lot of investment started coming to Vietnam. It has become in ASEAN region, it has become a sweet spot of investment. Investors are saying it is the place to be here. If I remember correctly, the GDP of Vietnam has been consistently growing at 7% since last decade or so. Ease of doing business has come down to 70 from position of 98. So lot of investments are coming here, and that's the reason one of the any multinationals who is coming here, they need to there is going to be a relocation of supply chain. They need to take care of transfer pricing, and to see whether how efficient business model can be made by having a holistic view from the transfer pricing as well, and their documentation has to be taken care of. Because of any relocation, there is going to be tax authority is going to ask questions, why you are relocating. If there is any business restructuring, they are going to levy exit charges on that. So any multinationals who is planning right now to relocate from one jurisdiction to other, they need to consult their consultant. Another one of the impact is that European Union has signed a free trade agreement with Vietnam. So it is considered as one of the most ambitious free trade agreement right now, which is going to eliminate 99% of the custom duty. So it is going to have a deep impact, and the trade deal is expected to give a major boost to Vietnam economy as it looks to recover from COVID-19 right now. And it's going to give a fierce competition, and again we are expecting that a lot of relocation of supply chain is going to happen. the free trade throws tremendous opportunity. Only right now, the data says that 21% of the Vietnamese small and medium enterprises are currently linked to the global supply chain. So there is tremendous opportunity. 21% of the Vietnam small enterprises are linked to global supply chain, in contrast to almost 30 to 46% of the other ASEAN countries like Thailand and Malaysia. So a lot of opportunity. So one of the most debatable issue right now in transfer pricing worldwide is management charge and royalty, which any multinational should take care, because of free trade. A lot of investment may be coming to Vietnam entity. In order to become more competitive, they may be getting a license IP from European entities, and to manufacture they may get a in license from foreign companies. So they need to take care of what should be the percentage of royalty they should charge, because any arbitrary number will not be accepted by tax authority. They need to benchmark and see how independent parties has charged it. And from Vietnam point of view, sales linked royalty makes more sense. They need to maintain document cost benefit analysis, what was the need, what was the evidence. So lot of things has to be done. Similarly, in management charge is basically, Vietnam entity will try to take support from advisory support from parent company, because they are more expert in providing business. Vietnam entity may suppose not very expert in the latest technology, or finance part or economics part, and they may take a consistent support from, say, parent company who is based in Europe. So they need to pay to Europe for availing such services. But it is most of the debatable issue, because tax authority is not going to accept that, and they will try to say, when there is a lockdown loss situation, why the management charge is being paid, why royalty is being paid, it should not be paid. So these things are going to, besides, several of the experts are because of travel restrictions, they may be stuck in some of the lockdown. So it's very difficult to justify that the services, the actual benefit has flowed to Vietnam entity, and there is a chances, if we are not able to prove the benefit of royalty or the management charges, management services that has been availed, that there is a chances that it may be disallowed. So these are the three. There may be many factors, but these three factors which I feel is going to have a deep impact and will lead to relocation of supply chain within this region. And one of the beneficiary is, of course, Vietnam, and apart from that, India is expected to be a big beneficiary here. So that's all from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Sharan. Well, I am not much of an expert in transfer pricing, but yes, the three other points that you have mentioned during your presentation, I think it is quite relevant to today's scenario of the trade war that you just mentioned. One, of course, the UFTA free trade agreement with Vietnam. Definitely, it is going to have enormous impact, and Vietnam would definitely be benefited, which you just narrated. Second, what you said is something which we keep talking during. We have discussed this a couple of times in our earlier webinars also. Relocation of the supply chain. Yes, this is something which we all know that it is going to be beneficial to the ASEAN countries and India. It depends how well we take the opportunity of bringing it into our fold. And I'm sure countries which you just mentioned, India, Vietnam, and others in ASEAN region would be Malaysia, all would be closely trying the best efforts to bring some of the supply chains to their country for betterment of the business in the respective countries. You talked about GDP. This is something which we monitor, and we are more interested since I have my small business in all these countries, Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, Singapore, and all. So yes, you are right. And in parallel to Vietnam, Cambodia also has maintained a GDP of 7 to 7.2% for the last 22 years. So this is something which is quite good for both the neighboring countries that have shared the same GDP. Dato Ramesh, I think you were listening to his presentation, and I was thinking that probably you may have some questions related to Malaysia on the subjects that points that he has raised. If you have anything, you may please please raise that if you want to, because I think I saw your hand coming up in between.
Your mic is mute. Your mic is mute.
I was just relaxing, not to worry.
Okay. Okay, fine. In that case, thank you, Mr. Saran. Thank you, Mr. Charles. I will hand it over to our moderator, Dr. Gulshan Sharma, to close the webinar. Dr. Gulshan Sharma, over to you, please.
Mr. Charles, I've got 2 questions for you. Then I've got 1 question for Vishwaji. And then finally, something before I sum up with Dato Ramesh. Now, Mr. Charles, 2 questions are there. 1 question is from the President of Buddhist Pilgrimage Facilitation Services, which is being provided at present. In your CV, the biodata which we received from Mr. Sandeep Majumdarji, we learned that you are also somewhere related with the aviation and chartered flights. So when we are talking about chartered flights, are you in a position to provide, because 15th of October onwards, India is opening up because the Shara is coming and then Diwali is coming up. So during the festive season, this entire area is opening up. When the area is opening up, are you in a position to provide the charter flights for the Buddhist pilgrimage who would be interested to visit couple of places, including Bodh Gaya during this time? That is my first question. Second question would be related to the artificial intelligence. In case if you have got something to provide ready-made available with regard to artificial intelligence in education sector, we would be more than happy to have the complete demonstration where I can get about 500 principals together on a common platform, and they all can come and we can discuss onto that. Now coming to Vishwaji, I think Mr. Charles, are you there? I think he's not there.
Yes, Dr. Gulshan, for some reason
Yes.
my video cannot be working, but I can answer the 2 questions.
Should I repeat both? Should I repeat both the questions or?
I got your question. Number 1, aircraft charter.
Yes.
Yes, I can provide. We usually source for aircraft for our clients. I can source for any kind of aircraft that you require. I need departure date. I need destination point A to point B. I need number of passengers, and then I can go to the market and help you to source for the aircraft. This is just one of the services that we provide for our clients. So yes, you have my email. You can drop me an email if you want, or after this call you can send me an email, and then I will communicate with you. Okay, that is for the aircraft charter. Number 2, we do have artificial intelligence on education. I have done a few projects with various universities in Malaysia, the Health University in Malaysia, and also the Asia Pacific University, where we are providing artificial intelligence trainings for the accounting and finance faculty with in Malaysia. We can share this with you.
I give you a very tempting offer. Tomorrow, 4,000 principals from the world over, and with the majority of them from India, would be coming for a day conference that is from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30. If I give you 10-minute slot, which is relevant to schools and colleges with regard to artificial intelligence, which your organization can provide, I can give you a ready-made platform tomorrow itself with UNESCO and United Nations, and that is for 4,000 principals tomorrow.
Tomorrow, what, from 9:30 to 4:30 India time?
Choice is yours. Whenever you will say, I will cut down that particular slot and I will generate the slot for you, 7 to 10 minutes.
Okay, 7 to 10 minutes, and you can tell me exact time. I can arrange for my partners, my principal, who have done a lot of work with the university in different parts of the world, to share to give you a 10 minutes mind share. Yes.
Very kind of you. Totally focused on education sector, school education, higher education, whatever is available. So what I'll do, I'll tell Chitra ma'am to send a mail to you right now after this webinar.
Yep, that would be very helpful.
Very kind of you. Very kind of
Let me arrange that for you immediately for tomorrow.
I will. Yes.
What is the preferred time? In such a short notice, I may or may not be able to arrange for the right guy.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Whatever is available is acceptable, because professionals don't need time to prepare. You know, professionals don't need time. They're always prepared.
Yes, they're all prepared. I just need to take request for their time. So I think, yes, we can talk about the subject at any time of the day. It's just that
coming from the armed forces background, you don't get a time to go to the war. You just attack. That's all.
Yes, I agree with you. Any time is a good time to go to war. Yes, I agree with you. Please send me an email, then we'll take it from there.
The president of the Buddhist Pilgrimage Chamber will write to you.
Okay.
Regarding the chartered flights.
Yeah.
Very kind of you. Such a pleasure. Now, Mr. Vishwa Sharanji. At present, what we have learned, and I wish to understand, that most of the companies, those are pulling out of China, they are coming to Vietnam and they're coming to Thailand as a preference at present in ASEAN. So you have given a lot of permutation combination. I tried my whole life to understand what is assets, what is liabilities. I have not understood how to read a balance sheet till date. Right? I always go to Sandeep Majumdarji, please tell me how to read it. I don't know how to read financial accounts and all. But in a layman language, I just wish to understand. Dato Ramesh ji raised one point, which was the concern, which was very, very appropriate, because tomorrow itself, we are tiger in writing to government. The moment some issue takes place, we immediately take up with the government, because any chamber has a privilege to write to the government and tell them that this is the concern, how to go by. Thereafter, it's up to the government whether they want to react onto that or not. Now, Dato Ramesh ji initially mentioned very prominent point that the concern of India at present is that the goods, or even the raw material for that matter, or semi-finished products which are coming to ASEAN, they should not be exported from ASEAN to India as an import. Okay, that point is taken. Now, with regard to Vietnam and Thailand, getting maximum corporate houses and companies, those are pulling out of China. Is that a true, or is that assumption, or is it going to fine?
So in fact, there are many multinationals which has already invested and they have been coming to Vietnam, or they are showing us interest as a consultant. They keep coming to us and making inquiries. So this is a reality that many multinationals, even in case of Japan gave some stimulus to the multinationals who want to come pull out of. And if I remember correctly, around 15 of those Japanese company has actually come to Vietnam, has been making investment in Vietnam. So yeah, the companies are pulling out of that. And
okay, understood. Now coming to second question, I think that will be going via Sandeep Majumdarji, but I'm just sharing with you. Long time back, we wanted to set up a finishing school in Vietnam. The ambassador of Vietnam in India, His Excellency, he has gone back. The new ambassador has come. The other day, we spoke to Deputy Ambassador in the Vietnam Embassy in Delhi also. Now, there are two things which comes to our mind. India has got leverage somewhere in the software and hardware as far as technology related to IT is concerned. And second part, when we are talking about the finishing school, it is not a finishing school just to give the puffing and the powder. It is basically, we are talking about preparing the youth, because one of the challenges which you face, particularly with due respect and all the respect, in some of the destinations in ASEAN, that is the language barrier. You have got lots of difficulty Hospitality is fabulous. It's par excellence. It's so good you can't imagine. There is no, it's an unmatched hospitality which you get. Courtesy, manners, gesture, body language, personality. I would say service. It is awesome. But where the problems come is you are not in a position to convey to the other side what exactly are you looking forward to, what are you asking, what is your service expected, and so taken into consideration. So in Vietnam, I do not know whether through the chamber we should take it up or otherwise. If we try and work out a strategy from our chamber, initially on a trial basis for 3 months, we can provide complimentary services. And if it is acceptable, then we can work out a strategy through Sandeep Majumdarji, because he being the in charge at present coordinating and advisor for the ASEAN, the projects what we are taking up. So somewhere we have to think of, because lot of Indian teachers are also going abroad at present, and you'll be surprised to know at present only 300,000 teachers are required by various institutions, but whereas the production is 1900,000. So there is a surplus of 1600,000 so-called teachers, so-called trainers, so-called educators, so-called facilitators, any name you want to give it what suits us. Is there any, because that is also a services export, our chamber is dealing in services. Services could be rendered in various forms. And even if certain people go on a contractual basis for a short term of 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, to different countries in ASEAN, and we try and bridge, let us see the long-term strategy. I always wonder why people are going to Canada, USA, and Europe. Why not Mr. Charles Cheong, that is in Singapore, when we talk about an Asian continent itself? If now the corona, like Datoji was telling initially, this corona has removed all the barriers, all the apprehension. The whole world has become transparent now. Now, when I talk to principals, they say, we are not principal. I said, why? They said, no, we are not principal. I said, then who is the principal? They say, parents are principal. I said, how? They say, our teachers are teaching and parents are observing how this teacher is teaching. So thereby, the education has also got exposed. If a digital education can be provided from United States, from Canada, from Europe, from Australia, in Singapore, then why not the money should remain as an economic multiplier in Asian continent itself, then to be taking it all the way to the long haul destinations. And as far as Singapore is concerned, the ambassador who has gone from India recently back, with him and his team, I still recollect, they were very keen to set up finishing schools from Singapore. And there was a hospitality and retail institute in partnership with Singapore Embassy was opened up next to the ITO with the Delhi government, where our chamber facilitated. And then the team of Singapore Embassy also visited with us in Guwahati in Northeast. Northeast will always remain next to my heart because I believe Northeast of India has got a very important role to play as far as ASEAN is concerned. Just last week, the Honorable Home Minister of India, Honorable Northeast Minister of India, Sandeep Majumdarji sent me the video also on that, which I viewed about 24 hours before, and I witnessed that particular program. Northeast is the priority of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, the Government of India. And when we talk about Northeast India, with that, the ASEAN is also a priority. We have got so many linkages which can be done with ASEAN. It's only a matter of little push, understanding, developing faith, FTA, and services sector. That has to be taken care of. With that, I go to Dato Ramesh. I request, sir, if you wish to share some vision and concluding remarks from your side. Your mic is mute, sir.
Thank you, Gulshan. Actually, what you have said is right. We actually, from the ASEAN side, also are trying to look at it on how to actually open up the service sector. Because I think there is some sort of areas which the whole ASEAN team from the ASEAN countries cannot sit down and actually agree on how this will happen. Opening up the service sector is something like giving a blanket approval for people from India to come into ASEAN to work. So ASEAN too has to take care of its population on how they can manage it. So this is something which has always been talked about. That's why when you look at it, the trade deals with ASEAN has always come to this situation. The ASEAN opens up certain amount of service sector, India opens out certain sector of their market. So this up till today is a discussion on the platform which is taking on. And they have not come to any conclusion of how to work with it. Small countries like Brunei, with a population of 400,000 people, they are also confused on how to open up the service sector because their numbers will be affected. Even when you look at Singapore, Singapore is very cautious in opening up its service sector. So this is the greatest problem. But if we are talking of education, if we can look into the possibility of getting universities from the ASEAN country, opening up in India and having a training program, like how we have a training program with UK or US or Canada. So I think that could be a possible gameplay in education. So I think we should take that direction, but we cannot take the direction of totally opening up the service sector, which I think won't be practical. So we must come up with a conclusion. Let's get Singapore University, let's get the other universities in ASEAN countries to set up their bases in India and have a training course or something like that so that we can move forward in this agenda. And then I would also like to comment something on what our earlier speaker had said from Vietnam. And your question to him was on the ASEAN exporting goods and whether China is sending the chain supply for these goods to ASEAN. But our honorable speaker said that Japanese companies and others are coming. Companies coming from Japan, Korea, and all this, India is not concerned. They welcome companies to come to ASEAN, manufacture the product, and send it to India. India has got no problem on that. India's greatest problem is whether someone is importing items from China, repacking it, repackaging it, and sending to India. That is their concern. So if manufacturers are coming into ASEAN to set up their bases, I don't think there is a problem there. We can clearly see it. If Japan comes up to set up a factory in ASEAN producing electronic parts, India will be willing to import from ASEAN. But if the Japanese company is bringing parts from China, then there's a concern because it's going to be traded in a different manner. So I think opening up companies, no issue at all. Everyone is welcome in ASEAN because the platforms are shifting. Even American companies are coming into ASEAN. European companies are coming into ASEAN. So that is not the issue. The issue is only a focal point, whether Chinese products are repacked, repackaged, or the content of the Chinese product is more than 60%, which is coming to India. So I think we must sit down and clarify the points on what actually we are looking at. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sandeep Majumdarji, I would like to make a request to you that now the iron is hot and India's new education policy, which has been announced on 29th of July, it is in the mode of implementation in India. They are inviting 100 top institutions from the world to set up their campuses and partnership with India. I would make a small request to you that initially when we started this particular series, and I discussed with our president and I discussed with Dato Ramesh ji also, he was very kind to give some leads and some presidents and some chancellors of universities in ASEAN. At the same time, let's take an example. Mr. Charles comes from the artificial intelligence, and technology has got a very important role to play as far as higher education is concerned. I personally feel it would go down the lane very seriously. I can invite UGC, I can invite AICTE, I can invite NIPA, I can invite all higher education stakeholders of India. I can request them, and they can be on the listening drill. If next week we can work out next Sunday, even if you get 4 top leaders, one from Singapore and remaining countries, you can think of your choice, whichever you feel, where India and ASEAN can get closer in higher education. It may be in research, it may be in innovation, it may be in higher education, it may be in artificial intelligence, it may be in technology, it may be in skills development, it may be anything whatsoever we can think of. And your Mr. Khamosh, which you brought earlier, he also gave a very good canvas of Indonesia, what all is happening over there. So let us take 4 major countries at present, and you can work out a strategy, because Singapore got to take a lead, because what happens is the brand gets sold, you know. So Singapore, always people look at in Asia, like you look at Hong Kong, you look at Singapore, and you Singapore look in education in a very serious way. So I would make a humble request to you. Next week, if we can work out, it is a 7 days time, because now the deliberations are going on in India at this point of time to finalize what should be the yardsticks, what should be the permutation combination. Last night, the YouTube, I would request you 2.5-hour deliberation from America and Europe, particularly in higher education, with the new education policy of India. It's available on the YouTube, Dr. Gulshan Sharma's channel and ICSI channel. If we can work out 4 people coming next week, if we can have a panel discussion on higher education, believe you me, it will go a long way to build relationship between India and ASEAN. And that was, I think, the first point when I initially discussed with Dato Ramesh ji to take on this particular series and to start this particular program, because the money, you can't imagine how much money is drained out from India to a couple of other countries, and similar way from Vietnam, from other countries of ASEAN. They are very keen to go to offshore without understanding what are they learning, what exactly are they picking up. If the Asian money economic multiplier takes place, it will do wonderful for all of us. That is the final take from me. And now we can do the close down and from your side.
Yes, Dr. Gulshan, no problem. I will be able to arrange this. But since last week, we were more or less emphasizing on the SME sector, which you said is the main focus. So more or less, I have arranged the speaker on SME in the next week. And he himself has about 80 SMEs in his own control. And there's a huge event which he is doing on 28th. So I requested him to be the next speaker of the week, coming week. I will let's see if that can be shifted. But he has given his temperament, so to say, consent. Let me check.
He can be a part of that discussion, because ultimately education has got a purpose. Education should generate employment. Education should have startup. Education have entrepreneurs. Education has got self-employment. So MSME fits into that. There is no problem. Don't shift that.
What I was trying to tell you is, if you want the education, we can make education as an event.
Why I'm telling is, we got to change our strategy depending on what is happening on ground. Because at this point in time, deliberations are going on. Because finalizing. So why not we should have an entry from the ASEAN? Datoji wants to say something.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I think Sandeep is right here, Mr. Gulshan ji. If you want to focus on education, get the best speakers on the platform. Let's focus only on education.
Right.
To make education with SME, then it becomes a different turn of event.
Okay.
So get best. I'll get someone from Malaysia.
Fine.
From Singapore, you can get. I think Thailand, you can get them from the university to come in from Thailand. I think on your side, you can get, let's get 5 prominent speakers
Right.
who will give their views on what they want to say on education with India.
Okay.
I think that would be the best thing. And lend to the educationalists who are interested in that particular program to be with us. I think that's the right way.
I agree. That is exactly what I was trying to put forth. We will do that event next week. No issue.
Gulshan, I'm very sorry because this is just my thought. Huh?
No, perfectly fine, sir, because at this point of time, serious deliberations are going on education collaboration only. This is the most opportune time and we must put our point in a right perspective.
Once we finish this, can Sandeep, yourself and myself remain on this so that I can just emphasize some things?
Sure. No problem. We can do that.
I will log in again because we are live on the YouTube. We'll finish.
Yeah.
And
So after this login again, we'll have a 2-minute discussion.
Sure. So with these words, Sandeep Majumdarji, you were saying something. My deep regards to Charles and Mr. Vishwa from my side, to Dato Ramesh ji, to Sandeep Majumdarji. And Mr. Charles, you'll be getting the email in a short while. Tomorrow, you will have a beautiful entry of your organization for 10 minutes in the 4,000 principles from the world over artificial intelligence in education. We will work out. Sandeep Majumdarji.
Yes, thank you. And I think from the education front, I might be able to connect you to various people because we have been doing quite a fair bit of work with the universities in Singapore and in Malaysia. And we are conducting programs to empower students, university students in artificial intelligence.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, that's very nice. That's very nice. So Singapore is done. I think Malaysia, Dato Ramesh Kodammal already said he has a. I will arrange from Cambodia and from Thailand. I think Dr. Gulshan, Professor Narula can help us. So I think we already have 4.
And Khamosh also from one person from Indonesia.
From one person from Indonesia. If not, then I will try and get somebody from Myanmar, because Myanmar, we have persons from the education sector, either of these two, whoever is available. Indonesia also we'll try and take, no problem. So we'll have 4 or 5 speakers. Yes, Dr. Ramesh.
We need also a speaker from India.
Okay.
Sir, my humble request to you is, we would like to get more inputs from ASEAN. As far as India is here, trust me, I know about my education very well, sir.
Okay, done. You are the
so you'll be there. You'll be representing India then. Oh yes, he was having a university of his own. Yes, yes.
Last 35 years, having set up the National Institute for Tourism for the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India.
I'm with you with Sandeep for a discussion. No problem.
Okay. So thank you so much, Dato Ramesh Kodammal ji, Dr. Gulshan, and our speakers of today, Mr. Vishwasharan and Mr. Charles Chung. So nice of you to have given your thoughts, which were very much appreciable. And we look forward to have you. As you said, now you already are there in tomorrow's section, which is very good. And I think Singapore is lucky for us, Dr. Gulshan. We had Mr. Anand Manocha, who is also helping us with.
He is enjoying so much. He is attending almost all sessions.
Yes, very good. Yes, I see in this list, some of them are regular. From Middle East also, there are people I see at the same names who are watching our events. So that's good to see. And these events are made by our speakers who have joined us every week. And I thank them from core of my heart. And of course, special thank to Dr. Gulshan and ICSI team for this wonderful takeover. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Sandeep Majumdarji. Thank you very much, Dato Ramesh Kodammalji. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. Thank you very much, Mr. Vishwasharan. It was a pleasure to have all of you. So ladies and gentlemen, signing off for 15 minutes, taking some fresh breath, and see you after 15 minutes for the next webinar. Today we are having a startup coming up, and there's a gentleman who has set up during this Corona 60 startups. He is going to share his vision, and he has got a lot to do for the women empowerment. He is waiting, and we will be getting him at 4:45 Indian Standard Time. So thank you very much.